Yeah, thank you so much. This will be a different kind of talk, or it will be a different talk. There won't be too much computational sustainability per se in it. There will be a little bit, consistent with some of my interests and some of the others, but it will also be to some extent in certain places specific to CompSustNet, this funded entity, which has not been the case for the research that's been going on more generally. Why am I in this job? I spent 3 years at National Science Foundation. Program officers at National Science Foundation are self-selected to be interested in these kinds of things. That's why they go to the National Science Foundation. My job talk, I was supposed to talk as much or more about other people's work than my own. And I knew that they were interested in synthesis at that point. The most important message I want to get across is if there is any theme, because I'm going to be rushing through a lot of stuff, is there's any theme you're interested in, find a way of getting in touch with me. All right? Contact me, because we need help. The Outreach, Education, Diversity, and Synthesis team goals are, this is basically the group within the network that has the job of knowing about everything that's going on in the network. And Carla and I haven't talked to Tom about this, interpret that network rather broadly. It's not just the funded components, it's other computational sustainability work that's going on, and we want to know about it. And it's our job to know about it, so we can do these other things. Who else is involved right now? 2 undergraduate seniors, Zimei Bian and Selena Chen from Vanderbilt, WAVE. Will be talking to you, or they'll be looking around. They're here with me today. They're involved. Rich, Carla, and Christiane, who I'm pretty sure you've all met, are also involved. We meet weekly to talk about these kinds of things. I've created a blog post with 2 surveys. One is a census of the network. If you are here, you can feel welcome to go there. We will do the censoring later for our various reporting obligations about who should be in a particular report and who should not be. But this is a census that's starting at the beginning of the network. There's also a feedback form on if you've got ideas about synthesis or diversity or education or outreach. Please use that form, fill it out. They're both online. I put it on the blog so you could remember the URL even if you didn't have time to write it down. There's something that always comes up at NSF site visits, and for me it's an intriguing question that I've never heard a satisfactory answer to. NSF always asks, but they don't answer. They want networks and centers to answer, and that is they want to fund, just Google NSF greater than sum of parts, and you will find this quote throughout by big, what does that mean? How do you measure that something is greater than the sum of its parts? It will come up when we're site visited. It will come up when other networks and centers are site visited. Answers vary. Very often people struggle with it. But it would be nice to have a nice computationally motivated answer for that. NSF is in particular interested in if we were to give these individual institutions money, what could we expect in 5 years versus if we gave a network a whole money, what different would we expect? And I think we could get a handle on measuring that. I'm not sure exactly how, but my view of what it means to be greater than the sum of its parts is greater attraction, both within the network and for those outside the network, to the work that the institutions within the network are doing. And that's something I think we can measure. We can guess at base rates of collaboration and things. So we can estimate what that top thing is. And then we can actually measure what the bottom thing is. So all of this has to do, if you're going to measure that, it has to do with, we're interested, and you just go to the title of the proposal, and it's about expanding the horizons of the network. So this whole idea of attracting others into the work of computational sustainability is consistent with, what it is that we're intending to do. We want to expand the breadth, and breadth across all these dimensions, from institutions to citizen engagement, I think are of interest. We want to expand the research and educational areas that are covered. One of the things I'm working on is cradle-to-cradle design in terms of energy costs, for production and recycling and the probability of it getting back into the recycling chain? Will we get to a point where that's included in the network? Will we bring in other areas? We want to expand the depth and density of the network, of course, too. And I think, and this comes up in a figure I borrowed from Tom next, we want to measure publication citations, but we want to measure other aspects of legacy. What does legacy mean? How will we know that something that was done in this network influenced policy 5 years down the road? Can we measure that? Can we capture that data and report it not just to the PIs, but to NSF? I don't know how this happened, but I want to go now through briefly each of these major areas. Diversity is one. There are two. There again, we're taking a census of the network. And we want to grow the network, we want to expand the network, we want to characterize the diversity of the network members, again, network broadly construed, terms across many dimensions. It has been stated that computational sustainability, it has been proposed, will bring in women, for example, into computing. Are we going to be in a position of intelligently talking about that question 5 years from now? And so we want to characterize the network and the way that the network dynamics are changing, network diversity is changing. So the projects and activities, please fill out the census form, and the other feedback form is there too. We'll have follow-up surveys, which will be infrequent, I promise. We want to do interviews and testimonials for a project that I think would be of great interest, reaching down as far as perhaps high school and certainly college students. Can we create interactive tools, and this is sort of consistent with a broader, larger effort, interactive tools that will help students understand how they might move into a computational sustainability trajectory. And that's one of those reasons we want those testimonials. And you know, how do you work your way through a curriculum at a college? We want to build advisory systems for colleges. Amay and Celine are very interested in that. Synthesis. This is borrowed from Tom, both today and a talk I heard him give over live stream a few weeks ago. This idea of synthesis. And synthesis, one result of synthesis is composition. And we can take one sustainability problem and we can decompose it into this framework or others to see that it involves many aspects, many different computational concepts, many different computational methods. I'm working on a paper now on sustainability-focused cognitive agents. Essentially a survey of computational sustainability work, but within a cognitive agents framework. To be submitted not to a computational sustainability forum, but a cognitive agents forum. There's some other things that I'm personally interested in on the left there that I think are consistent with this view of synthesis as bringing different computational methods together under one roof of a sustainability problem. This you've seen before. This is sort of the inverse view. How do we take one computational method and how is it used through methods of abstraction across many sustainability areas? And one thing we want to work on at Vanderbilt and with Cornell is building interactive tools, interactive maps that will allow you to actually drill down and actually allow this kind of wonderful visualization to come to life as well as to scale up, because you start putting too many routes on this thing and it's going to get crowded fast. But it's a beautiful metaphor that we can turn into something which is interactive. Again, interested in any of these things, get in touch with me. Outreach. Outreach means a lot of different things. Oh my gosh, that's what I get for setting the timer. Outreach means a lot of different things. One thing it means is informal learning, which is quite broad. I guess the one thing that I would talk about here, because most of you know sort of what outreach is we want to find methods that persist. We want to find outreach that persists beyond the boundaries of the network, both in time and in space. We want others to, we just don't want to create neat outreach things that then disappear once the network stops being funded. We want them to persist, and we want to be able to measure that they persist and have some faith that they persist. Another form of outreach is to promote not other kind of informal learning as well, but also formal learning. We've been talking about an online course that we can create that would be a source for students and instructors around the world to come learn about computational sustainability. It would be a self-paced course. It would not be a MOOC per se, so that I as an instructor can use this self-paced online course to take my campus course through it at my own pace, which is a different view of the importance of self-paced courses. They're not necessarily for the flexibility of students, they're for the flexibility of instructors like me. Outreach to facilitate research dissemination. Interacting with other centers is something I think is terribly interesting that NSF would love to see, but they don't have the time to do it themselves. But I think it would be a big win. Do topic modeling, coming up with a common concept map across a large number of related centers that are doing NSF-funded work in related areas, and then to create the topic map and be able to talk about how these different centers relate. NSF would be interested in this for purposes of investment, of course. An online seminar series is something that the Cornell group and the Vanderbilt group have been talking about that we want to promote. There are some other things that we've talked about. An early survey suggestion came in, a list of CompSustNet open problems. If you suggest something interesting, we will use it and we will credit you. I just haven't had time to find out who suggested that, but it was a great idea. Outreach, social media, many things here. I don't have time to go through the entire list. I will say that you can take a look there. We've got a lot of social media. There is a computational sustainability blog. Right now, I'm virtually the only one that uses it, and it's basically notes for strategy. We want others to use that blog, and we want it to become a news source. So not only do you have a university press office, but you have a CompSustNet press office. And one dream I have is finding an army of students who have been properly vetted that will be news gatherers and interviewers across the network to bring in and write their own stories that then we send to university press offices rather than the other way around. And we send them to NSF as well. Education, just a bit. We've gone through and surveyed many computational sustainability courses. Since 2010, people have been teaching computational sustainability in one form or another. We've created a master list of readings from those open sources. You can find them online. You can find them online essentially right here. No, right there. In that blog post. But there's some other educational ideas here as well as using REUs, supplements the first year and then creating collectively until we get it, perhaps REU site proposals that would bring in students to work on computational sustainability problems across the network and even those not necessarily formally affiliated with the network. Another thing that got excited about a few years ago, we created a AI and computational sustainability Wikibook, which is still online. I will close with a couple of points there because this is now being actively worked on after a period of being actively worked on before. This is a Wikibook that anyone can work on. If you've got control issues, create a Wikibook, because within 1 minute of my creating them, somebody was editing my Wikibook. You will lose your control issues if that happens. But you can add to this Wikibook, and others have. So for example, I believe it was Eric Eaton who added this contribution to the Wikibook. This is intended, and Wikibooks like it are intended to be companions. They're not to replace computational sustainability courses. But the idea here is I've got an AI course. I'm teaching my AI course. I want students to learn AI. That is the primary focus. But how can I infuse computational sustainability into that AI course? And I can do it by creating a body of exercises, of projects, of exam questions, of lectures, and I can put them online so that anyone teaching an AI course that wants to include sustainability subtly in their course, but no, not so subtle, but can come to this Wikibook and use these exercises. And we want to integrate this with other online repositories as well. The two undergraduates at Vanderbilt, Zameh and Selena, are working on creating a set of exercises this summer for optimization of wildlife corridor and reserve designs. In particular, under additional resources of the Wikibook, you will find all the readings from the past computational sustainability courses that are publicly available. And that is the last slide. Thanks.